Hello and welcome to the Death Battle Cast, the show that is me and only me. Nobody else is here. It is just me and you today. Welcome. That laugh you heard in the background, it doesn't exist. It didn't really happen. It's only in your imagination.
Let's just
See,
all
nobody's
pack up and
talking.
go
It's
home
pretty
then.
clear.
Yeah,
I was gonna leave him hanging.
Let
on
Ben
that
do
one.
it all.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if anybody would interject. Hey, I'm Ben, voice of Wiz. I'm joined by Chad, voice of Boomstick over there. We got Sam, voice of Sam, Aaron, voice of Aaron.
Voice of Aaron, yep.
Yep.
No, the voice of production.
Voice of
Also,
production. Yeah,
it looks
There you
like
go.
voice of making sure the death metal show actually happens.
and possibly the voice of democracy. Did you go vote?
Yeah,
I
look
did
at
go
that.
vote this morning.
all right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. If you
we
haven't
go.
yet, go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Polls close at 7.
Absolutely.
You can go after work. You have no excuse.
Yep.
Go vote. It's important.
There we go. So that's what we're gonna go do now. Bye.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Right after the show, though, that is what I'm going to do.
Good.
Perfect. All right. Good. Okay. So, welcome to the Death Battle Cast. This is a show where we argue with each other and make enemies out of each other for an hour.
Yes.
And then hopefully patch it up at the end. But today we are arguing about some fire throwing femme fatales. I don't know if I would actually call them femme fatales, but today we are talking about Azula versus Cinder Fall. I'm very excited to jump into this because these are both franchises that are obviously very near and dear to us for some very clear reasons, I think.
What?
So yeah, I don't know. You may have heard of this show called RWBY. Have you heard of it, Chad?
Might have just a little bit. I
New
think
to
I,
me.
you know,
I
hosted a show called RWBY Rewind. Kind of, I think. Know a little bit about it. Hopefully.
Hey, Palm, yes, call everyone Ben in this cast. That's correct. Everybody here is Ben. Everybody here is me. There's
There
only
you go.
me.
Perfect.
Okay, so I also thank you to everybody who is jumping into watching this live. We do a Death Battle Cast live on our Death Battle YouTube channel every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central, and love seeing the members jump in for the chat and also for the vote. So if you're new to this show, here's how this is going to work. We're going to be arguing for our characters. I am going to be representing Azula. Chad is going to be representing Cinder. It is our job to argue and prove that our character will win in a death battle, no matter what. And at the end of the show, it comes down to a vote. And the jury will get to vote on who should win. The jury consists of 3 seats. It'll be Aaron, it'll be Sam, and it'll be all of you watching this live.
I get to vote
right
twice.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you get to vote twice. Both of you get to vote twice today.
Oh.
And anybody else who votes today
Hey, there
and
you go.
afterwards gets to vote twice today. So that's great.
Democracy's on a roll, baby.
It's rigged.
Exactly.
No, sorry.
Double democracy. Okay, so I'm excited to get into this. I will say, I did watch the Netflix Avatar. I'm not using that.
Oh, you're not gonna
That's
pull
not-
beats from there?
That's not the Azula that I'm using. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you, Joe, for
If
the
you guys
super
are,
chat.
yes,
Did we
thank
fix
you.
the fireside chat? Did we ever look into that?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Sam made it
Yeah.
public, like
No,
literally in
there
the
was
middle
there
of.
was one episode that got like
Or no.
skipped, and so now that's just gonna be like what should be episode 3 will be episode 7 of the like tournament of champion bout. Something that's close
Oh,
to
that,
correct,
okay.
right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fireside
Okay.
chat, is what they're asking about.
Oh, Fireside
asking
Chat.
about
No, that
Fireside
one
Chat.
is live. Yeah, no, sorry.
one's
I was
second.
thinking
Good.
the other one where we had the problem with. I was thinking about Banner. Yeah, no, Fireside Chat's live. The last one, it was just.
Yeah.
YouTube
Everything
back.
should be fixed.
Yeah.
Everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so do we want to just jump right into this?
Yeah, let's do it. Who's going first?
Let's do it. Okay, well, I did want to ask something before we do this. Both of these characters are they have certain power-ups through their series that are not necessarily tied to them directly, or they gain power from outside sources. There is the Comet for Azula, and then there's the Maiden powers for Cinder. And I'm curious how you guys want to handle this. And also the Shadow Grim arm. That's not hers. It's
Yes, it is. It is now.
She doesn't control it.
Yes, she does.
We know that. No, it controls her, and Salem controls it.
No, she controls her arm. Don't even. And you try to be like maiden powers, like she's just only temporary. She's literally currently the Fall Maiden. Those are her powers. Like
Sure.
she gave up the scepter of like knowledge and time and stuff. She gave that to
Mhm.
Salem. We're not gonna mess with that. But like, yeah, of course she has maiden powers.
We are going off
sure,
of current state of the character. She is the Fall Maiden as of the end of Volume 8.
Right.
Okay. So I'm curious, are you guys okay with me approaching Azula with Sozin's Comet then? Because that is a power up that comes from somewhere else as well.
I mean, that's how we did Zuko in Death Battle, right? So I feel like it only makes sense.
We did look at both potentially if he was going to lose, like how it would work with Sozin's Comet as well. So
We'll see how this goes. But one's like, the comet has to be like above, right? And then you get the like boost to power or something, right?
the comet has to be in the Earth's orbit, and
Right.
then they get a boost in power.
Got you.
Um,
We can explore
So
that.
the comet's just a weird thing for the firebenders because like that's when they're at their max level of power, and it's only a temporary thing that comes in once or twice. And so if there's a moment when we're like saying like, oh, if Azula were to lose this, then the question becomes like, well, what if the comet was involved, right? So I'm gonna okay. A couple people in chat are saying for the sake of the argument, give them everything. So I think I'll address if I'm ever talking about the comet, basically, whenever we're talking about it, because and then you
Okay.
guys can interpret that how you will.
But
I feel
I
like
do
that's
like,
fair.
I love your little, like at the beginning, you're like, temporary powers like the comet, or like,
Not temporary powers,
Cinder's
powers
entire
from outside
character,
sources. Powers from outside sources. That's what I said.
Well, yeah, but it's like, but that's her power now.
Yeah, but she gained it from an outside source. She didn't like develop it herself. That's what I'm talking about.
I guess, but it's like, but she
So.
owns it. It's not like her power passes by her once every how many years, right? It's
well,
all
like
good.
she didn't bank the arm. She was given the arm.
She was
and
given the
didn't
arm, but she does
develop-
control it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, okay, cool. So
I
we can
didn't
go ahead and
make
jump
this
into
gun, Ben, but you know, like
That's
I
fair.
own it.
That's fair. All right, let's do this. So we'll talk about screw it. Okay, I'll talk about Azula first. So let's go. Azula, daughter of the Fire Lord, is easily the deadliest bender in the entire series. Her enormous level of power is second only to Ozai, and I guess the Avatar state, if you want to count hundreds of avatars combined in that scaling or in that tier. She can defeat any of the other main characters in a one-on-one fight. In many cases, when it's a 1-on-3 or 1-on-4 fight, she's the only firebender in the series who can control the incredibly powerful blue fire. She's a cold, calculated master manipulator who can fly with flame, performs gymnastics that are like Cinder could only dream of doing, and she is trained to be perfect. She is trained to be the Fire Lord's ultimate weapon, the perfect blade that cuts through the war and redefines its shape by literally destroying it. Can't
Sounds
beat
pretty
Azula.
hardcore.
The only hope against her is to run.
Love that.
Like, what are you supposed to do against Azula? Every time she shows up in the series, everybody's like, "Oh fuck, time to run!" 'Cause she's freaking Azula.
Well,
All right.
first of all, Vampiro with the $10 super chat says both the sun and comet boost Azula. By the way, I guess she gets the sun boost.
Technically speaking, the fire, they sort of draw their power from the sun. It doesn't give that much of a boost because it's kind of like basically they're stronger during the day than at night, and then the waterbenders are stronger during the night with the moon.
Gotcha.
But it's not like a massive boost.
And Dude Believe with the $5 says, until Cinder's a pile of ash, she's the Fall Maiden. Don't try and weasel those powers out of the equation. You wanted this.
There you go.
Okay,
Thank you,
All
Jason.
right.
Maybe. All right. Let's
give us
talk.
the lowdown on Cinder.
Yeah, let's go. Cinder Fall is the ruthless, cunning, and ambitious villain from RWBY. She's skilled in melee combat, ranged combat, magical combat, you name it, she can do it. She's got this spooky grim arm that can stretch, grab, and drain power. And as the current Fall Maiden, she has access to a vast array of elemental powers. And she specializes in fire, obviously, because she's been using that for a long time due to her semblance, which is called Scorching Caress. Basically, if you can think of something to be done with fire, she's pretty much done it. Incineration, flight, melting walls, metal, creating glass, fire tornadoes, fire arrows, fire swords, fire everything you can possibly think of. Cinder at her best is nearly an unstoppable force that even the entirety of Team RWBY couldn't take her down at the same time. I'm sorry to say it, but Zula will fall. I don't need the last 8 seconds.
I thought you were gonna go with an Azul lose or something like that, but
After hearing that, I'm glad.
Shouldn't I be the one saying Cinder will fall? Because that connects
Yeah,
better?
but you didn't, so I had to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of forgot Cinder's last name was Fall, so, you know. I only thought of that after.
Big fan.
Yeah, big fan of RWBY. Know everything. Okay, so fine. Cinder's got a lot of powers.
A whole lot of powers.
Like, she's got a lot of powers, but isn't Cinder's whole thing that she shows up, tries to be an effective villain, things go wrong, she throws a tantrum, and then the good guys win? Like, that's kind of how every situation with Cinder goes, right?
Until the last time. And no, actually not every time. There's the really sad one.
Except for when she fights Pyrrha.
Yeah.
But like, that's different, I think.
Well, there's
she
that
had
time
the drop
and then the
on
last
everybody.
Time. But yeah, I mean, she struggles with a lot of like, trauma and rage, and can get pretty, upset about things. But like her full power at the end, where we last see her, and in her like full Fall Maidenness, like she's just kicking ass, and taking on like she's fighting like Penny and Winter simultaneously.
But arrogance is like a big part of that character.
Yeah, she is very arrogant, and then when things don't go her way, she does get,
which I mean, like,
pissy about it.
Kind of a little bit Azula too, but arrogance is much more earned in that case.
Azula is arrogant, but she understands her arrogance.
Yeah,
I think it's important to make it clear that, like, yeah, Azula, the way they beat Azula is she has like a mental break, but there's a lot that builds up to that. Like, for her entire life. And this is kind of why I mentioned the live action series. The live action series has Azula throw a little bit of a temper tantrum. She doesn't do that. Like, that's not Azula. Azula does not throw temper tantrums. Azula does not get mad. She gets angry, but she doesn't get mad. She controls her anger.
You got a thin line there.
Yeah, like,
no, my point is
Azula
is perfection. Her goal is to be perfect, right? And she does that through everything through every part of her, including her emotions. This is one of the reasons why she breaks down at the end, because she doesn't know how to deal with like everybody betraying her, essentially, because that's not perfect. There's no way to be perfect about that. But in a fight, every emotion for her is going to be perfectly tuned to what she needs it to be. There isn't a way to break her. Whereas Cinder, nah, she's going to pull her apart. Like, the second Cinder says anything that like remotely describes how she's got a fucked up brain, Azula's going to latch onto that and rip her apart, emotionally destroy her. And all she has to do is look at that like weird grim arm and start like questioning that shit, and Cinder's going to fall apart. Like, this fight could end before anybody even throws a punch. Azula could just talk her down into a crying child.
Oh no, it turns out Cinder's only weakness was words. No, like,
it is. Are you kidding me?
Not? No, she
remember what happens with Watts? Watts like fucking
yeah.
like destroys her with words.
This is true. But like when she's fighting RWBY and stuff, like she's not getting upset by what they're saying to her. I mean, or she just gets mad and like just uses that rage to usually burst out more power and do crazier shit. So like it's not like someone's gonna be like, "Ooh, you got a spooky arm, Cinder," and she's gonna be like, "You're right, I give up." Like, come on. Like,
well, obviously it's gonna be more complicated than that. I'm just saying that there is something for her to latch on to.
Also, right? Like RWBY in the gang don't like show up and emotionally bully Cinder, right? Like, where it's like it almost kind of.
I'm sorry. Have you met Whites?
Okay, yeah, no, sure. But...
I mean, I feel like jumping into the psychological thing of this is maybe skipping a bit ahead, but I do think it's going to be important, and really important to Azula's victory, because it is a weapon that she uses. Azula uses everything as a weapon, including the emotions of her opponent.
Mhm.
And understanding her opponent or figuring them out is a key part of her strategy in battle.
Gotcha.
But and Cinder just tries to blast people
Oh, but with
or
everything.
lie to them, I guess.
With
Like,
everything.
haha, I'm a student somehow. Everybody buys that I'm a student.
Well,
Hey,
that was
fellow
early on.
kids.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, exactly. Hey, it worked pretty good for her. But no, speaking of like weapons, I mean, just weapon creation is like Cinder's bread and butter. My God, like even before she had her spooky grim arm, she would make like everything you can think of out of fire, like spears, swords, bows, various blades of all kinds, shards. And then now her spooky grim hand can just like summon weapons. I don't know how that works. You would think that it would like transform into it, but nope. It just summons them, and she can just start hucking them. She can like throw swords and keep manifesting them with spooky grim magic, whatever the hell that is.
Couldn't she always summon weapons?
She did it with but she did it with fire before. Now they're different. They're spooky, like black
Oh,
grim
okay.
weapons.
I understand. Yeah.
I don't know why it's different, but hey, there we are. Vampiro with the $10 super chat says, "This isn't a battle of whose power will give them the win. This is a battle of who will break who first mentally to get the win." Nah, dude, Cinder's just gonna overpower the hell out of Azula.
And Cinder, there's no way that Cinder would be able to do what to get Azula to that state. Like it takes so much, and it required her dad that she was trying to please her whole life, basically completely nullifying her existence in order for her to break. Like that's what led to it, or that's what really made it happen. Obviously, other elements were led to it, like her friends, but friends, quote unquote. But it was Ozai giving her the title of Fire Lord and then immediately saying, Fire Lord doesn't matter because I'm the Phoenix King. Waha. That was what happened. That's why
Yeah.
she broke.
Hey, Mike, real quick, will you bring up shards for me? I've got lots of screenshots for
Shards.
you. Yeah, I just want to show you. So this is like, so she can manifest like all sorts of weapons and things like this. This is one of like the most at one time I saw her like put together. Which she just like summons these shard thingies. They start to glow red, and then she just blasts every living hell out of people with them. So she can control like multiple manifested things at the same time.
Okay.
I don't know why
Great.
in my old age I've gotten like I don't know, conservative dad style, but you said that if she can manifest, and my first thought was like she could manifest some longer shorts. This lady.
Dude Blade X with super chat asks, Watts knows Cinder and knows what buttons to press. How would Azula know what buttons to push to make Cinder break down like that? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Is Azula knows how to figure that out. She can look at a guy like the guy who ran the Dai Li, blanking on his name. Like she figured him out like that. Just a conversation with him, and she learned how to completely manipulate the Dai Li
Yeah.
to put her in charge of not just the Dai Li, but in charge of Ba Sing Se and in the entire Earth Kingdom capital. In like a fucking week, she got them to install her as the leader without ever throwing a punch. Like, if she can do that, she can figure out Cinder. Cinder's not
in the middle
that,
of a fight for the first
Cinder
time.
does not have a poker face. Like, she's gonna figure her out.
How let's talk about powers here for Azula. Can you give me some, because I got a lot of stuff and I don't know like how like crazy we want to go right out the gate, but like what kind of stuff can she do?
Can Azula do?
Yeah.
So okay, she is the only firebender to use blue fire, which is pretty important. They didn't let her use it in the live action series. It appears briefly for like 1 minute, and then somebody stops her, and then she uses red fire for the rest of. I don't understand. Anyway, so Azula's fire is blue, and the reason why is because it very much symbolizes just the level of deadliness she has over everybody else.
The purest of fire.
So
right?
blue fire is a much hotter flame, right? It's one of the hottest flames you can get in the real world. It must be around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 1,600 degrees Celsius. That's insane. That's going to melt anybody's skin off. Like, it's going to cause some serious damage. And she holds this blue flame, 3,000 degrees of fire in her hand like it's nothing. She's fine. And normal firebending in the world of Avatar is already incredibly powerful. If we could bring up the image of number 1, firebending power, just normal firebending is somehow able to shatter iron chains Also, during this sequence in the comic, Azula is bound and she's trapped. So this is post series, right? So she's a prisoner, and she's fighting Zuko, and she is able to not only get away and participate in the fight while her legs are bound, she's able to flip herself over so the fire strikes the chains that are binding her legs together, shattering them and freeing her. Like, the amount of precision that Azula has as a combatant is nuts. And this is like a minor gymnastic feat for her. There's some crazy shit in the series. So just the fact that fire is able to do that, like just a normal little fire blast, like now ramp that up to the blue fire, and it's crazy.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Well, this is what normal little fire blast of cinders can do. Will you bring up holes, please, Mike? I have fun names today. The book. So that's big enough for like it's about 4 or 5 people wide, and it's about 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 stories down of the steel floor. And that was just a casual blast that Cinder just tossed up, and then she comes flying up out of there. So that's pretty powerful. So definitely beats Chain.
I mean, like, what's the material? Do you know?
They're in like the defense tower of whatever.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like, and you see the way that it's all melted around the edges. Very, very likely that it's steel. And you've also seen she had used her semblance to melt steel beams before in one of the episodes. So her fire is definitely hotter than jet fuel. There you go. There's
Thanks,
Okay.
bud.
I mean, we do know that firebending in Avatar can melt steel doors. That is a thing as well. But and again, the point is, like, Azula is much stronger than normal firebending. There's also, of course, her trademark move, lightning bending. So everybody's probably seen Azula shoot lightning before, right? She just blasts lightning out of her fingers. Lightning, of course, moves 200,000 miles per hour. That's over 260 times faster than sound. And a single blast of Azula's lightning is fatal. It kills on impact. There are a couple instances of people surviving lightning in the series, but that's only because of other circumstances involved. Zuko survives it barely because he's able to absorb it and redirect it, but it still horrifically fucks him up. He probably would have died if Katara wasn't able to get to him to heal him. Aang gets shot by it in his back, technically doesn't survive it, technically dies, and is only able to be brought back thanks to, again, Katara using spirit water to revive him. So the lightning is fatal. It hits Azula, it'll take down that aura. If it hits Azula without the aura, she's dead. And interestingly enough, it is fatal to everyone except Azula. If we could bring up the image, Azula versus lightning. This is wild to me. Azula fires lightning at Zuko. Zuko redirects it back at her for a direct hit. And she's like blasted back through a bunch of furniture. And she's fine. Like, the very next panel, she's just talking shit. Like, I have no idea how she's able to do this, but she's just fine.
That's weird. What's
Interesting.
interestingly enough, similar feat of Cinder surviving. When she was fighting Penny, when Penny was like the defender of the whatever city and whatnot, Penny does her like supercharged blast, right? Her swords are like spinning around her. Literally, a storm clouds form and lightning is shooting off into it. And then she channels all that into this gigantic, it's green, of course, because Penny, like, lightning green laser beam. Just, I mean, it's huge. And it just blasts the ever living out of Cinder. And she survives it.
I do want to real quick point out something one of our wonderful mods mentions, Malcolm. Zuko probably held back. That's not how redirecting lightning works. You don't
It is
control
lightning. Yeah.
the lightning, right? You just send it back to him. This is one of the main issues with lightning bending for Aang when he's fighting Ozai. He can't control the lightning if he fires it at Ozai. It would kill Ozai. So somehow Azula just survives the most fatal thing in the series because she's just that freaking tough. I don't know.
Yeah. That's also, I mean, like, yeah, the shit that Cinder has survived, man. Like, again, gigantic penny lightning blast that everybody assumed would kill her. She lives. Uh, Fight with Raven. She gets thrown up. This is when Cinder falls. uh, she gets thrown off.
It's like her name means something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, you remember when Luke fell into like the Tower of Sky City? I'm assuming that's about how far, because it's indeterminate. It's like, this just black void. Cinder's getting thrown out there, and Raven fully freezes her, so her body's completely frozen, and she falls down this like indeterminable amount pit and lives. So that was
Do
cool.
we ever see how she gets out of there?
No,
I don't remember.
she just like appears as like
She's just fine.
Yeah, because the next time we see her is when like she's got the like robe on and she finds Neo, right? I think that's the next
right.
time.
That's right. Yeah.
Um,
We see her in another town.
yeah, and so like I don't know.
Maybe there was just we don't see what's at the bottom
She
of that
just
chasm.
happened to hit like a big old pile
Pillows.
of fluff. Just,
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a bunch of people have been going into that room for the
vault.
the relic that's in there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody just throws a pillow down there, and it's over the
Yes.
past several centuries. There's just been a huge collection of pillows that have been
crashes
tossed down
into
into
like
that
a
pit.
goose down factory.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's where we put all our trampolines. No, like, but let's say it was all pillows down there. She's still fully frozen. She should have shattered. Like, but it's fine.
I mean, I feel like being frozen is the easiest thing for her to get out of, though, especially on a long fall, right? Like, to thaw out, that's kind of.
Well, so this does lead into something. I know what you're saying. It's her power's fire. Well, but like her natural power, she actually has control over all elements. All maidens do. But I think a big thing to argue is just how strong her aura is. And so if you guys don't know, it's very, I mean, you guys know what aura is, but in RWBY, it's like a manifestation of your like soul, and it protects you from everything. So all the damage that you're getting hit with and stuff like that, it's slowly like depleting your aura. If your aura gets shattered, then that's when you can actually like be killed. And then you can also use some of your aura into like use your semblance and things like that. So, but like just the shit that she survived is absolutely insane. Like Cinder's aura has got to be hella strong, and maybe that got built up from all the years of like abuse and stuff she went through as a child. But strong aura, can survive a lot. We haven't seen her killed yet. She survived everything. It's wild.
We haven't seen her killed yet, so her aura is just inexplicably invincible.
Well, I'm not doing the like I haven't died yet, so I'm immortal. I mean, like we've seen her hit with like dude, like casually in the Raven fight, like this humongous like stalactite or stalagmite, whichever one, like just falls. It's like it's massive and just smashes her. Like she looks up at it like uh-oh, and then it just nails her, and then she's just fine, and then keeps fighting, and it's just like what.
You guys are right. Poke and Greater Scope. Yes, she does appear in a pool of water. So she fell into water. And if you've played Tears of the Kingdom, you know that you can fall into water from any amount of distance, and you're
fall damage in water. Everybody knows.
Well, then
that.
we can just argue we can give Cinder the same level of durability as Link. Then, do we want to go forward with that argument?
No, because this water doesn't have fall damage. This works.
Yeah, water just doesn't get fall damage. That's the point.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely how it works in real life.
Yeah.
G-Blade
For
brings up
sure.
a good point, because I was about to bring this up, because I hinted at real quick that like any maiden, no matter what their season is, they're not like limited to the powers of their season. They get access to everything, and we've seen Cinder literally use all the elements. And I have a screenshot of most of them. I didn't grab the one at one point. She makes like a giant earth sword. I didn't grab that screenshot, but other than that, like, can you bring up freeze real quick, Mike? So when she's fighting Raven, she fully freezes her, like sends out this like blast. And this is just the best screenshot I could get, but like it like creeps up her and then fully freezes Raven.
Okay.
What's Azula doing? What's Azula doing against that?
So I know Azula is defeated by Katara by getting frozen. Like that's how she's defeated. However, again, a major point of how Azula is defeated is the mental instability brought about by all the trauma and abuse that she suffered over the years. She is not in her right mind. It's very clear that she's not in her right mind during that fight. Earlier in the show, there are, I believe, multiple occasions of firebenders being completely encased by ice, including Zuko, who just breathes fire because they have an ability called Breath of Fire, I believe, that can then melt the ice around them. So she just does that and gets out easy
She
enough.
just breathes the fire.
Yeah, she just breathes out because firebending
Yeah.
comes from within, right? The source of it is inside. It is the breath. So all she does is release heat from her body and she can melt the ice. Again, I know Katara beat her with ice, but again, she wasn't in her right mind. She was freaking out. You could see it in her face when she's all frozen. In a normal fight with a normal perspective for her, she'd be able to get out of it no problem.
Then why didn't? So she just, what's the thing? She got frozen, so then she just accepted it because she was mentally unstable instead of getting out, or like?
No, she was freaking out.
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, imagine like your world is just collapsing, and then this like you're completely enshrouded in ice. So first of all, it wasn't even ice originally. It was well, I guess it was ice. So you're completely enshrouded in ice. This sort of claustrophobic effect is put on you, and then you're being bound inside of it. Like everything sort of led to that moment where she just felt helpless, because the whole thing with Azula's break is that she feels helpless, and Katara was able to unknowingly take advantage of that. So because like what else was Azula supposed to do in her situation? She'd been worked so hard to accomplish her life goal, and then had everything stripped away from her. Like she felt helpless.
Mhm.
So that's why that happens. So yeah, I don't, given the fact that we see her, she's a master of firebender, she's better than Zuko, and Zuko can get out of that situation. Normally she'd be able to get out of that situation, no problem.
All right, we'll see. Joe, ice seems
see.
pretty effective, but that's fine. Joe, thank you for the $2. And oh, Gavin with the $10 super chat says, "I've done my research here. Well, Azula is 8 times stronger. I love the exact number. Enough to one shot. Cinder is thousands of times faster, meaning she's ultimately too fast and can kill Azula before Azula kills her. I don't even know if Azula's more powerful. I need to see some stuff.
Okay. So I do have some other feats and stuff to talk about, including some scaling. But before we do that, I do want to talk about our sponsor for this week's episode of Death Battle Cast. Who is us? It's us.
Yeah, perfect timing.
We're sponsoring this, so we're just gonna chill ourselves for a minute. Bring up the timer, Mike. Can you bring up the 60-second timer?
Oh my god, perfect.
And we're gonna chill ourselves for
Perfect.
60 seconds. Here we go. Hey guys, if you're watching this and you're a member of the Death Battle channel, thank you. You guys are amazing. If you're not, you can check out our membership. Just check out the join button that's on the YouTube page. You get all sorts of amazing perks like
Hanging out with us every month in a fireside chat.
Yeah.
and
Wonderful shows like Ballad Banters in our,
Death Battle
Revisited.
Revisited, our Champion Cast, which is our exclusive post show that we do after cast. Of course, also during our live cast, you get to use the chat feature if you are a member. Otherwise, you're just stuck watching and not being able to tell us what you think, which is so sad for you. But it can be
Exclusive.
fixed.
Yeah.
For the low
Powerless
price
like
of $5
Azula.
a month.
Exclusive live events in our Discord, access to our
Yes.
Discord, which shout out to our mods and community members over there for creating the first non-toxic versus community I've ever
And
seen.
in our last few seconds, the Death Battle game is currently on the court.
Discord.roosterteeth.com.
Okay, we can't talk about it
There's
anymore.
only a
That's
few of
60
them
seconds.
left.
That's good 60 seconds.
Great
All
job.
right. and thank you to all our champions who support us and make sure that we can do what we do.
It makes a huge difference. It really does.
It really does. It really does. Okay, so why would Azula have time to melt the ice before Cinder gets the next critical hit? I mean, Zuko shatters the ice Katara puts him in like instantly. He just breathes out and it's just all gone.
Thank you, Michael.
So again, Azula has a stronger flame and more control than Zuko, especially Zuko back then. It'd be no problem.
Gotcha.
So
Cinder also has access to air. Mike, if you want to bring up air real quick, because we've only really what's up? What's in?
I was gonna say it really quick because I don't remember this at all. How do firebenders deal with fire themselves? Right, like they don't really get burned by it or anything. Is that specifically
They
Like-
do. They can get burned by fire. I mean,
quite
Zuko.
notable occasion of
Yeah,
Zuko's
but like I
face.
mean, when they, what I'm trying to get at is like, do they have an innate like resistance to it? Because there are options or things like when they're frozen, they're like
not
breathing fire all over themselves to melt the ice, and they're totally chill, right? Like
I'm not sure if they. I mean, I'm sure they have some resistance to it, given that they are around fire all their lives. When Azula is holding fire, she's technically holding it like above her palm, not in her palm. The heat is the big thing that they just develop a resistance to heat. But like if fire were to blast Azula in the face, it would burn her. But yeah, they can keep their resistance to the heat itself and develop resistance to that, and are able to just power through the pain of it. I mean, a big part of firebending is like especially Azula's firebending, is that it comes from anger and pain. So they just sort of
deal with it.
power, they just
Grr
gotta
through
deal
the
with
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you for the gifted membership. Gelatin Man with the $10 says Azula's a master manipulator, so she gets Cinder to just off herself. Y'all at this the mind game argument. And Joe wanted to point out.
I really want to make sure that it is understood. Like Azula is going to fuck up Cinder's brain during all this. Like that is how she works. I really do not think you can simply say, oh, Cinder wins because she's got a higher level of TNT or whatever. No, you got to consider the mental game here. Well, that's how Azula fights.
Sure, but like Cinder's like stronger, more powerful, faster.
Okay.
So
let me talk about strength here, because I haven't actually gotten to that yet.
I would love to, but Joe had the perfect follow-up for us talking about memberships. And he said that don't forget next week will be the 2-year anniversary of the Death Battle membership, and that means new badges for the live chat.
I just went and double checked that there is a 2-year one, and I forgot. It is very cool. Luis made it ages ago, I believe. So
that is
Michael.
right.
Yeah, it's a 2-year badge.
We'll finally get a new badge in the chat. Oh, it's a really cool looking one. Oh, I'm excited to see that.
For
That's
our
awesome.
fireside chat next week on the 13th, I believe. It's on the 13th. It'll just be we'll be having a 2-year birthday party.
Oh, I
that's
will
so
be
good.
there.
That's very fun.
Damn. All right.
That's gonna be super fun. Okay, so
let's go. Let's give me power.
So one of the most powerful feats in bending feats overall is Kyoshi creating the island of Kyoshi. This is something we can generally scale all benders to, because it uses the same bending energy. And in order to create the island, let me see, because I looked at our old episode for this. To move and displace that much rock requires a force of over 21 gigatons of TNT, which is 15 times more energy than the entire world's nuclear arsenal detonating all at the same time. Now, that's earthbending. Translate that level of energy into literal explosive fire. Azula can basically do a 15 times super nuke. And blow everything up if she really wants to do, which kind of happens in Sozin's comet. Like, that's how much power and energy she has behind her her bending. And of course, if we give Sozin's comet is said to increase a firebender's power 100-fold, which just times everything by 100. So,
but how do we get to firebending is as strong as that earthbending feat? How can she? Because
we're scaling bending energy. It's still using the same sort of energy.
But she might not be able to access that much energy or control that.
Why wouldn't she?
Because we have never seen it.
She's literally the deadliest bender we see.
And for fire,
outside of potentially Ozai. I don't understand why there's a problem here. Like, this is just general scaling.
Well, I mean, like, if she like fought the dude and then was like, our powers are equal, and then we saw him do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if fire. Like, but if she was also Earth, and it's like, and she is the best of the Earthbenders, and then we saw
doing this shit, dude. No, this is just how scaling works, man. She's one of the most powerful benders. We compare her to one of the most powerful benders. She's fought the Avatar dozens of times. Like, she could take Aang easy, and this was not the Avatar state. This is just Earthbending. So, yeah, she's got this. She could scale to Kyoshi in that way for sure.
Can you remind me how the aura system works? Because I have a vague idea, but it's been so long.
But aura is, so first of all, they love being cryptic about everything in RWBY. But aura is like your spirit energy. It surrounds you and protects you, and then after you've taken enough damage that your spirit is weakened down, it breaks. so that you can have those really cool oh shit moments in RWBY when you see
there-
somebody's aura break
yeah,
and you're like,
is-
oh, they might die.
Does Cinders ever break?
Maybe early on.
It breaks against in the Raven fight, doesn't it?
Hmm.
I think in the Raven fight it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not
There's a
since we've
limit.
seen her at like full like maiden power. She's just whooping everybody's ass. God, you guys have been going crazy with the sport in the chat.
She absolutely competed with Aang on multiple times, guys. Remember when Aang, Toph, and Sokka are fighting her 3-on-1 in the Fire Nation?
Everybody
Like,
says she does
They
a scale
can't.
to an avatar.
She can't beat, or he cannot beat her. Like, and again, we're just talking about singular earthbending, not the Avatar state. The Avatar state is a whole different thing. She absolutely can't scale to the Avatar state.
Got it.
But to just
But
Kyoshi
just to
doing normal
Aang and, like,
earthbending,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I have a comparable. So real quick, Gelatin Man, 10 memberships. If you guys got a membership, go check out all the stuff we did. Thank you, Michael. Oh my God, y'all are going crazy. Dude Blade, deadliest does not equal strength. Also, no, we're not scaling here to the Avatar state, so we clarified that. And then now we've got another $10 super chat from Gavin. Specific stat comparison I have right now is Azula being 8.8 megatons via Gazan and Mach 665 via Vatu versus Cinder being 1 megaton versus Penny and 0.64 C to 1 C via Atom/Agony. Okay. Gavin,
Is Gazan the best earthbender feat? I don't think that's true. Gazan is the lava bender, I believe, from Legend of Korra.
yeah. Hey Mike, will you bring up RWBY fight? This is really cool, like how similar these characters are. I really want to do this death battle, by the way. Yeah, will you bring up RWBY fight when you get a second? So in Cinder full maiden form, she's just been beating everybody's ass. And so at one point, the entirety of Team RWBY is trying to fight her, and she is fighting all of them simultaneously with the upper hand. And then just for funsies, they all jump back, and then she just creates this massive vortex of fire that she's inside of, and then proceeds to keep kicking their ass. She later on in this fight, it was either later on or it was before, but she's fighting all of RWBY simultaneously. Then she's fighting Penny, who at this point has the powers of the Winter Maiden, and she's fighting Winter. Then Winter ends up getting the powers of the Maiden. This could be massive spoilers, by the way. Then Winter gets the Winter Maiden's powers. Then Cinder's whooping her ass. Like, Cinder fought all of these people, like, back to back to back, some of them also with maiden powers, then another one getting maiden powers, like, and she just kept going. Like, it that last bit of Cinder is what made me like really confident that Cinder takes this matchup, because like seeing her use her full maiden powers to just literally fight all of the most powerful people we've seen. Like, I mean, even before that, like, she's killed, like, when she first was new to her powers, she killed Ozpin, who is literally like the reincarnation of like the guardian god that gave the maiden's powers in the first place. And she, as just a maiden, new to a maiden, kills him. Like,
It is fascinating how I can basically say all of that for Azula.
Yeah.
really?
Like, it's literally almost identical. Outside of Aang, the Avatar doesn't give. I guess technically the Avatar's responsible for the Benders getting powers, because Wan unites the four nations. That is, wow, it is really fascinating how similar they are in that regard. Because yeah, Azula fights so many of the most powerful characters we see. Again, like I mentioned, Aang, Toph, and Sokka infiltrate the Fire Nation palace, on the Day of Black Sun. Azula does not have her fire powers. It is the one day that the 1 7-minute long period where firebenders do not have fire. A master earthbender, a water tribe warrior, and the Avatar are trying to catch or defeat Azula, and she just dodges everything. She's just able to avoid
just
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing these crazy freaking gymnastics, using Toph's earthbending against her to avoid Aang's attacks and whatnot. Like, I don't see. I get it. Like, Cinder's gonna have more speed than Azula. She's gonna have more power, but I don't think that. At what point do you have to say Azula is just so good at reading people and understanding like a fight that she could just avoid everything because she knows what's coming.
Yeah, it's funny.
Gelatin Man-
Gelatin Man just said what you said, but
I was
yeah,
gonna say, Gelatin Man
it's-
backing you up with a $20 super chat.
I always, I
well,
always
Hey,
think it's
Gelatin.
funny, like the Fire Nation with like the eclipse and the comet and stuff. It's just like, why wouldn't other people be like, hey, you heard that comet's coming? Maybe we should just boost up the borders for a day or two. Like, it's just, you know, well, they're extra strong. Like,
yeah, right.
it's just funny when it's
Well-
like meteorological events affect them so much, and then they're
Mhm.
just like,
They
not,
don't know
yeah,
that they're happening. So that's the big thing, that they only learn that the eclipse is happening because they go to the library, which has a well, I'm blanking on what the word is, what the device is called, a thing that can help, an observatory essentially that can help predict future events. They only know the comet is coming because it comes every 100 years. But also they've been at a war this whole time, so they can't really. Also, the war's over basically by the time the comet comes. So I'm sure the Earth Kingdom was like, well, we're basically fucked anyway. Nobody was expecting Ozai to say, we've already beaten you, but how about we like really beat you, like really kill you all.
Yeah.
So
Don't worry, dude. Boy, don't bring it up. All right, I got a couple things I want to talk about real quick. So just in terms of like, I know what you're saying. Like, she's very nimble, but Cinder can just like the amount of power that she can exude is crazy. So, Mike, real quick, will you bring up Cinder Blast? So I just got this one because it's just cool. I love this screenshot, and then I'll go to a better one. But like, that's Cinder. You can see her all little tiny, and that's her just shooting out some fire. And I believe she wasn't even at full power here. That like crazy amounts of power that she wields. Like, and then even earlier on in the series, we see her like summon massive and multiple like pillars of fire, like all over. And then her semblance. So can you bring up semblance spears? So this is early. She's in a fight with Glenda Goodwitch. Okay. And to give you an idea how large this is, there's in the very center of that bubble, I should have drawn like a little line on it, but in the center of that bubble is a whole airship, like a transport airship. Cinder's on it, and these purple lasery things, that's Glenda Goodwitch's like spears that are like, and Glenda's an incredibly powerful huntress. So all these spears are like going to come in, whatever, and Cinder just like just shoots this massive aura, her semblance out in this massive aura, which destroys all of Glenda's attacks. So like the scale at which like Cinder can pump out, and again, this is before she was a maiden. So like her amped up on maiden, and like the fight's getting serious, and especially if like if Azula,
she was half a maiden, she had half the powers.
Was she half at this one? I don't remember. Yes, you're right. She would have been half at this one. She had half powers there.
So that's at half
and like
powers.
just think of the scale. Like, I mean, especially if Azula's pissing her off, she's just gonna get angry and angry, and then just like blam, like just waves of death.
I mean, Azula could just bend it to her own will, so that's fine.
But she's like, that's just with fire. She could do that technically with like ice or wind. Did we ever bring up the wind thing? She can create like tornadoes with air and like lift herself up, but she loves fire, obviously. It's kind of her main thing. So that's like a whole tornado that she creates just to be like, yo, what's up, Neo? Look at me. Like, I'm a maiden now.
I'm so cool
it's just
now.
a weird
Yeah.
flex.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she's like
Yeah.
talking to her in the street because they're like, because Neo keeps trying to fight her, and she's basically just like, we both hate RWBY. Stop it. Like, let's team up. And then she's like,
Azula just throws some fire in there, turns into a fire tornado, and burns Cinder alive.
you saw her in a fire tornado already. She loves that shit. The other thing, I don't know if we want to like, so her spooky grim arm, in addition to be able to like stretch and grab people and like whatever,
Doesn't have aura.
it
It
does.
can be
You're
attacked.
right. It doesn't have aura. You can cut it off, but she can regrow it.
Painfully.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
painfully.
But it does drain maiden power, which is really weird because the only thing we've ever seen
That's
do
magic.
that, yeah, it's like is like she got a spooky grim glove from Salem to start the process of draining the first fall maiden. Then now her spooky arm can finish the job. Yeah, I don't know, but see,
Isn't it because Salem is magic? It's formed from magic, and it's like a magic transfer thing. Because there was a glove that she was using originally.
there was,
as well
yeah,
that
but
had
the
remember,
Grand
there's
Glove,
also
yeah.
the weird thing about like the whole like Oz created that super weird machine to like transfer the maiden powers into Pyrrha.
Mhm.
theoretically that should be similar to the glove, right? It's like using the same idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Because it's transferring magic from one point to the other.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I don't think that's gonna matter.
I don't think
because
so either.
bending
I
isn't
just-
magic.
I just wanted to
but
bring it up.
yeah, for sure.
Oh god. Man, everyone's passionate about this debate. We're getting so many.
Yeah, it's great. I love this. So I do have 2 more things I want to bring up, and then we'll get to the vote. So the first is I actually want to bring up the poll from the community chat and show you just how much people agree with me. So let's go ahead and bring up that community chat poll. Look at that. 80% of people agree with me that Azula wins.
Well,
If 80% of people are on my side, how can you say Cinder's going to win this? Come on.
well, you know who I have on my side? Hey,
Mm.
Mike, bring up K quote. Don't bring up the second one. That's for later. Bring up K quote if you don't mind. Hey, so this is Kerry Shawcross. He's one of the writers on RWBY. He said, Cinder, with maiden powers, could the Avatar even stop her?
This
That
feels
sounds
like
biased.
cheating.
I don't know what you're talking
biased.
about. I just,
I mean,
asked a simple
That
question.
feels like
Well, let me just reach out to the showrunners of Avatar real
I
quick.
could message Carrie right now saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, can you type this out, please?" And he would.
I could just go in
So-
Photoshop and make that image like without issue.
Also,
okay.
what's to stop
Wait,
her?
there's another message that you have?
Oh,
What is-
that's for the very end after the votes and stuff.
Okay,
But I
okay,
realized
fine.
I hadn't showed this, and again with the overwhelming power and all that stuff, all Cinder really has to do is just like lay a hand on Azula, and just will you bring up Pyrrha for me? I'm so sorry. I had to do this. I'm so sorry.
Don't do this.
All she has to do is give her a little touch, and then she'd be completely incinerated.
To be, however, can she disintegrate living things? Because Pyrrha was dead.
Pyrrha was still alive there. Pyrrha was just.
Was she?
Yes.
I
But
thought she takes her
also-
last gasp and then she gets disintegrated.
No. She's like, ugh, like not like the kill, like Cinder does not have to kill her, but definitely walks up and is just like, and fuck you. And we've seen her literally like burn people and stuff before, just
for
with her
sure.
touch.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, all right. My final note then is, in the game Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl,
Oh, here we go.
This is gonna
Vlad-
be good.
she defeated Vlad Plasmius of Danny Phantom fame. And at the very beginning of
We're
the
done.
story, which is canon to this story, Vlad one-shots, I kid you not, SpongeBob. Which means if she could defeat Vlad,
Yeah.
we are talking about characters capable of universal destruction. And Azula scales to a level of power so beyond Cinder that the very universe would collapse around her before she could possibly stand a chance against Azula. All right, let's get to this vote. No, you
Yep.
don't get to comment about that.
Sounds logical to me.
don't think that one's canon, but just gonna say that.
We agreed it's Azula and Cinder with all their powers.
That's
We did.
Yeah,
we
that very
did.
early, Chad. This
We
is
did.
composite
Do I need to go
Azula.
pull up?
I
the-
said I
like,
would clarify where it's coming from, and I did.
Do I need to
Now
go pull
imagine
up-
that with the so it's come
RWBY
100-fold, 100 universes. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
you're
see.
right, Malik. You can't deny that logic. So here
do
we
I
go.
do I need to go pull up the RWBY fighting game crossovers and like look into what the scaling is there?
No, you don't have to worry about RWBY, and Justice League scaling or
Oh
anything
yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. We could
Doesn't
do
matter.
Justice League. That's right. You remember?
We have 5
No, I
minutes.
don't remember that. I
Yeah.
don't remember that at all.
They
That
fought-
didn't happen.
Wonder Woman.
I
Pretty
remember
sure.
those 2 movies too well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get to this vote. I'll go ahead and bring up the vote here, but first we have some answers from you guys from the community page. Let's go ahead and pull up the first answer.
Sam, you want to read this one?
Sure. Azula is smarter, stronger, faster. Bending fire to your will isn't the same as shooting it.
Wrong.
That's true.
I mean-
the last part, sure. First part, wrong.
Okay, let's bring up the other answer.
Yeah, Sam, go first.
Cinder has this. I hate her, but she'd kick Azula's ass with a combination of her semblance, aura, maiden powers, weapons, and experience. She's an adult compared to Azula being 14. I don't know if the end of that doesn't check out for me. If either of
Cinder's-
them acts more adult, it's Azula than Cinder for
Yeah.
sure.
And remember,
And
y'all.
it's Azula being in training since she was a very young child. So even
Yeah.
though Azula is younger, she arguably has a lot more combat experience.
Yeah. And remember, we
Yeah.
all hate
She's also
Cinder,
fighting the
okay?
war.
Yeah.
Azula is fighting like a full-on war, while Cinder is fighting like a secret war. She's not leading armies or conquering cities. I mean, I guess she kind of conquers cities. It's like
She
secret
definitely has conquered, yeah. And schools, real good at that. But I will say, we all hate Cinder, right? We all hate her. She sucks. She's she's mean. But goddamn, does she good at killing? Like, especially now, she's powerful. So that's what we're just answering. Who wins in this fight? Not who do we love more?
Well, the poll is up. It's actually really close at the moment. So this could come down to you guys. Aaron, who are you voting for?
It's a tough one. As someone that has worked on RWBY as well, I'm not even going to pretend there isn't a little bit of a bias towards these RWBY characters. So, and we didn't like we mentioned towards the end here, we didn't even get into scaling specifically against RWBY, and all of that stuff. So I do think my vote is going to go to Cinder.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great job.
That's
See,
fair.
you can trust her because she votes. See, she votes with her heart and correctly.
Okay, proving democracy. All right, we'll see if democracy really holds up with these next few votes, though. Sam, who are you voting for?
Composite Azula the whole way. There was never a question. There's not a question here. That's the best answer I could give for you. It's the truth, the honest one.
The SpongeBob shit? That's what.
Well,
that's
no,
not...
I was gonna vote Azula anyways,
pretty
but
great,
it's funny. It adds to it. It's the cherry on top.
Okay.
Okay. So we have one vote for Cinder, one very reasonable, understanding vote, and then one crazy vote for Azula that I really do appreciate. Thank you, Sam.
Of course.
All right. So we have one vote left, which is from you guys, and the poll is currently 51% to 49%.
It sure is, and I got some stuff we got to show, so I guess I better click end poll, right, Ben?
It is very close. No, we still have another minute.
It went to perfectly.
No, it's 50-49.
What? What
What
happened?
It stole a percent. Because it's like one vote. It's how it
is
works.
saying 50-49.
Yeah.
The vote ends with 50% to Cinder and 49% to Azula. I call rigged. YouTube stole a percent there.
The wrong,
I think that's 50-50, right?
Always taken some percent from
But
us.
it shows which one to steal it from. That's
YouTube
crazy.
doesn't get a vote. That's not how this works.
They did today.
Doug4343 says that 1% goes to SpongeBob.
Okay, fine.
All right, real quick. All
right, what do you got, Chad?
Before this ends, will you bring up K quote 2 real quick?
Oh no.
I just wanted to show y'all my. I sent a message to Carrie and Eddie. Hey guys, I'm debating Cinder versus Azula and Cass today. As the writers, I'm pretty sure I heard you guys mention that Cinder has the ability to kill anyone from the Avatar universe at will, right? You just haven't had a chance to work into the show yet. Carrie, lol, yes, but we meant the blue people Avatar.
Yep.
Now there is a cast episode.
Here's the other thing. I tried this on multiple avenues. Will you bring up the screenshot that I sent you, Mike?
Did you go for Eddie
I
too?
hit up Miles.
Oh my god.
I was like, hey buddy, I'm debating. Wait, do the same thing, right? So like, his response is, I think it's a tough call. She definitely could, but I think Cinder's biggest obstacle is her own ego. Sorry, Cinder just us. I can see Azula being smarter than Cinder if Cinder's feeling cocky. And I was like, damn it, Miles. I was looking for an overpowered screenshot. And then I told him later, I was like, Carrie did the same shit to me.
Yeah, this makes me feel even better about my based vote.
Just heads up, I did just put a new poll in the chat, and I'm ending it. Looks like
Once Azula's in the lead.
36% say Azula, 34% say Cinder, and 29% say blue people Avatar. So you know what? I think that's going to be our official declaration for this matchup until we potentially do this as a death battle.
I won. It's been a while since I won.
Let us know if you think this should be a full-on death battle episode. I think this is a super fun matchup. Both these characters, I think, are great for death battle just in general. It'd be super fascinating, I think, to analyze them. on that sort of level.
But who will we cast as Cinder? It would be so hard.
I don't know. Like, does she even have a voice actress? Like, is that even a thing? And of course,
Jessica's
please go
super
check
cool.
out the Death Battle game that is on the Rooster Teeth store right now. There's only a few left, so pick it up if you need it or if you want it. And then there's also the membership that we talked about earlier. Click the join button; it'll run you through all the different things you can get from it, including access to our Discord. Death Battle Discord, which is phenomenal thanks to our wonderful mods who make sure that it is a really positive place to be, despite it coming from a versus show, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I really appreciate everybody tuning in for this week. Again, the 2-year anniversary of our memberships is coming up fast, and so we're going to see some new badges in the chat pretty soon. I'm super excited to see that. All right, thanks everybody. We will see you next week. Take care.